Hi everyone, welcome to the weekly summary of the week gone by, that is from 18 to 22nd April. So in this video, we'll discuss what all news actually affected the market, the sectors that are being accumulated, and also the sectors which are showing strength in this week market, and then the market outlook for the coming week. Okay, so we'll first start with the Fed news. So Powell says that taming inflation is absolutely necessary and a 50 basis point hike may be possible for May. So this was the reason why today, that is Friday, 22nd of April, all the major indices over the world were down. So the market wasn't really expecting a 50 basis points rate hike, but then since the inflation is getting out of control in US, right? These guys have no other option than to raise the interest rates by 50 basis points. So that kind of shook the market, and that is why even Nifty ended low by almost a percent or more than a percent. Okay, so this is what happening in the world market, wherein all the indices were down because of this news that came in yesterday night. And also in India, so if you see the MCLR, the banks are hiking that MCLR. So what is this and what effect does this have on the Indian markets? So if these banks start increasing the loan rates, so what is going to happen? The new loan that people are going to buy would be at a higher interest rate. Okay. So whenever you increase the interest rates, generally the demand kind of softens because people would not be willing to take loans at a higher interest rate. Okay. And also the very important one is for those existing borrowers. Let's say you took a loan and you are paying EMI of 10,000 rupees every month. So once the interest rates start increasing, what happens? You end up paying higher EMIs on the same loan that you bought. So your 10,000 rupees every month might go up to 10,500 or 11,000 in the coming days once this loan rate starts increasing. So what generally happens, that extra 500 or 1000, that would be on a smaller loans. Let's say someone is paying something like 50,000 a month as EMI. So there, that pinch might be much more. So maybe it can go up by few thousand rupees. So what happens? We have lakhs of borrowers in India. So if you combine that whole thing, right, and then that much spending will not happen in the economy. So you guys, I mean, all those borrowers would just end up paying back the loans to these banks. So if spending is not happening in the economy, generally the this thing that is the demand would soften. Okay, so that is kind of making these market right now a little skeptical about the growth in the future. Okay, in the coming days. Okay, so this is about the general view of what is happening in the market. Now coming to something sector specific. So what is happening is, as you guys know, the crisis in Sri Lanka in this last week gone by, right, it has escalated, right? So because of that, and as you know, Sri Lanka is a major global player in tea. Okay, so almost 300 million kgs of tea is being produced in Sri Lanka, and out of that, 97-98% is being exported. So now, because of that crisis, right, what would happen is the Indian tea manufacturers should benefit from this. And also, if the tea prices go up a lot, right, some people might kind of shift from tea to coffee as well. So that is the reason in the week gone by, there was a good accumulation, I would say, in these tea and coffee stocks. So if you look at some of the top tea and coffee companies in India, you have Tata Consumer Products, CCL Products, that is mainly tea, right? Sorry, coffee, and then you have Tata Coffee, and these rest of them are kind of micro cap companies, I would say. So you would want to focus on these three names. Okay, don't go in these micro cap names, although if some of them are good, you can actually take a bet there as well, something like a Jay Shri tea or even the others. Okay, so that is about what is happening in Sri Lanka and how that is affecting the tea and coffee prices internationally, and how the Indian tea manufacturers should benefit from it. Okay, and now coming on to the sector or the stock specific action. So all of these energy stocks, right from petroleum, coal. So what we saw is all of them are kind of making new highs. Okay, so if you look at the chart of Reliance, so Reliance made a new high at 2000, almost as 2800. So if you look at the chart, very bullish chart. So next would be Coal India. So Coal India has also hit a 52-week high, right? So, and then even something like NTPC, which is into power, so that one has also hit a new high. Even something like NLC India, so these guys are again in the coal thing. Even GAIL and a lot of these petroleum companies like Chennai Petro, Mangalore refineries. So all of these are hitting new highs. That is because the sector is in favor and people are just pushing those stocks up. So that is, this particular energy sector is in very strong momentum and should do well in the coming weeks as well. Then coming to shipping names. So these shipping names were seeing pretty good volumes and some accumulation as well. So if we talk about some of the shipping names, then we have Cochin Shipyard, which is, as you can see, the volumes were also very high and it has kind of broken out from this resistance, right? And then you have Dredging Corp, which is actually at the resistance right now, but kind of moving up, right? And then Shipping Corporation of India, which has broken out long time ago, and the volumes are also increasing. So these three shipping companies also look good if you look at their weekly performance, right? And then sugar stocks. So as you guys know, sugar has been running since some time now because of two main things. One is because the sugar prices internationally are also going up, as well as because of the ethanol story, right? So some of the very strong closing names would be Dhampur Sugar, right? This one has also, as you can see, closing is around 569. It is the highest closing for this stock in the past few weeks, right? And then you have the Arkesh, which also closed at the highest point, right? When you compare the weekly closing, even something like Andhra Sugars, right? So these sugar stocks are also making new highs. They are definitely in very strong momentum and should continue to move up. And then coming to railway related stocks. So there is some play happening in these railway stocks as well, something like Rail Corporation, right? As you can see, it has broken out of this resistance and even the retest is done and it has started moving up again. Something like Texmaco Rail and Engineering, even that stock has hit a 52-week high on very solid volumes and moving up. Texmaco Infra and Holdings, even that stock has kind of hit a new high and it is about to break out, okay, of this very long consolidation. So this was in 2019. So it's a weekly chart. So these are kind of making an inverse head and shoulders, you can say. So these even the railway stocks look very good for the coming week. So now looking at the outlook, okay, for the week to come. So Nifty on the weekly chart has made kind of a doji or a spinning top here. So it's a neutral candlestick pattern. So we are not quite sure what the movement would be for the coming week. But if you look at the broader thing, right? So Nifty has been making a lower high and a lower low, right? So unless this kind of makes a bottom here and it moves above this particular point here, we are in that downtrend, I would say, wherein the Nifty is kind of making a lower high and a lower low. Okay, so let's see how the week turns out. But this is not a bullish sign wherein I can say that the Nifty is going to move up the next week. So it's a neutral candlestick, anything can happen, but the general trend is kind of down. So chances are we might move lower, or in case if it takes support at this point, chances are we can start moving higher. Okay, so that is about the Nifty 50. Now coming to mid cap index. So even the mid cap index took support around this 29,800 mark and kind of bounced. Although this looks much better than the Nifty 50 candle, but still the trend here as well, it is in a downward trend wherein the stock is continuously making a lower high and a lower low on a weekly chart. right? And the same thing with the small cap index as well. So the small cap index took support around that 10,300 mark, and then it kind of bounced a little. But if you ask me, the volumes accumulation, all of that is kind of low in these small and mid cap names. So I'm not really hoping for a rally in the coming week. Probably once the accumulation improves, we might see a good rally coming through. But here also, although it kind of made a higher high here, but that did not sustain and we came down, right? So if you ask me, if this particular thing makes a bottom here and moves up, then we can be very sure that okay, the small cap index is making a higher high and higher low. But until we bounce, we can't be really sure. So let's see, but I'm not that optimistic for the coming week because the data is not supporting it either. Okay, so if someone wants to play, then you actually concentrate on these three themes, that is the railway theme, right? The sugar stocks and the shipping names and even the energy sector stocks or else the tea. And so the tea thing is kind of new, so most of them are getting accumulated right now, so it might take some time for them to fire. Okay, so these are the sectors one can look at and try to trade in the coming week. Hope this helps. Thank you.